Coming up, stormy weather and heavy demand are causing more power outages across the FM Metro. A discharge hearing is underway for a Fargo teacher accused of inappropriate conduct with students. And COVID shots for children under the age of 5 will soon be offered in North Dakota. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a closer look, with comments tonight from Fargo City Commissioner Dave Piepkorn, who is talking about new projects he wants to pursue. He was reelected last week despite being targeted with 2 rounds of negative campaign mailers. And in tonight's one-on-one, a look at a local effort to raise awareness about elder abuse. But first tonight, for the 3rd consecutive day, Cass County Electric Cooperative has reported a widespread power outage. The utility says more than 5,400 customers in West Fargo were hit with an outage beginning around 7 o'clock Monday night. Homes and businesses were impacted. We're told power was restored to all customers as of 9:50 Tuesday morning. We're told the outage was caused by equipment failure at a substation. Several outages were reported on Sunday. In Minnesota, 1 person is dead, another injured after storms knocked a tree down on top of a camper in Douglas County near Alexandria. Authorities say they found a man and woman trapped inside their camper at Elmwood Resort on Lake Mary late last night. The man was declared dead at the scene, and the woman was taken to an area hospital, but information on her condition has not yet been released. A Pelican Rapids man drowned in South Lida Lake while trying to rescue a dog that jumped from a boat Saturday afternoon. 48-year-old Eric Fife was boating with friends when we're told he jumped into the lake and began struggling. A friend pulled him and the dog out of the water, and his friends began life-saving measures until first responders arrived and took over. Life-saving efforts were not successful, and Fife died at the scene. The Fargo School Board is holding a discharge hearing for an English teacher from Fargo South accused of inappropriate behavior with students. Kevin Kennedy has been suspended without pay since April. At that time, Superintendent Dr. Rupak Gandhi recommended Kennedy be discharged. The investigation was opened after the school district received a complaint in March claiming Kennedy had, quote, crossed boundaries with students and created an uncomfortable learning environment. An official with BNSF Railway in North Dakota is reminding people about safety around trains after 4 people died and 4 people were injured in train-related accidents over the past 3 years.
When the weather is nice, we can sometimes see an uptick in people being out. Of course, it's been so cold for so long and everybody's excited to get out. But you got to remember to not be walking along the railroad tracks and to follow those signs and signals.
Regional Director of Public Affairs for the Railway, Amy Macbeth, told WDAY's Bonnie and Friends that paying attention to crossing lights and signs and not trying to beat the train while driving are also key tips in avoiding serious injury and possibly even death. The North Dakota Department of Health is ordering 5,700 pediatric COVID-19 shots from the federal government. The doses will be available at more than 100 healthcare providers throughout the state. Vaccinations could begin within the week. In Minnesota, more than 400 sites around the state will also be offering the jabs for children. A group of about 50 North Dakota National Guard soldiers is back home. Most flew into Fargo, Minot, Grand Forks, and Bismarck over the weekend, just in time for Father's Day. The soldiers are part of the 835th Engineer Utilities Detachment, which spent nearly a year in the U.S. Central Command area working on construction projects. Welcome home to those soldiers. A group of Minnesotans is stuck in Canada after airlines canceled thousands of flights over the weekend. A nonstop Sun Country flight departed from Minnesota last week to Vancouver, British Columbia, but the airline canceled Sunday's return flight. The airline cited crew availability and maintenance issues that required a specific part to make a repair. Sun Country is offering reimbursement for hotel and food and reimbursement for ground transportation to the airport. The Minnesota Supreme Court says Minneapolis does not have enough police officers. The court ruled the city of Minneapolis is meeting its funding obligations, but isn't employing a minimum number of 731 officers. Last November, voters rejected a proposal to eliminate the city requirement to fund and employ a minimum number of officers. Mayor Jacob Fry or city attorneys will now have to explain why they haven't met their obligations at a hearing later this month. And in South Dakota, the defense for Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg submitted documents ahead of Ravnsborg's Senate impeachment trial. We're told a total of 178 documents are listed as evidence for the trial. The documents include interviews, reports, photos, videos, and other information related to the case. The Senate trial began today. Lawmakers are looking into the actions Ravnsborg took following a deadly crash that he was involved in. The trial is expected to last for 2 days. In a closer look tonight, comments from newly re-elected Fargo City Commissioner Dave Piepkorn. He's talking about city projects he says he's looking forward to working on.
I'm very excited. I think we have a lot of good things. I would say the two that might be most interesting in the public eye is the Performing Arts Center, and I do think we have to look at combining that with the community theater and possibly have both those combined together. That would be one. And then the Fargo Dome, we need to do several improvements there. Part of them are accessibility, and part of them is just to upgrade the buildings.
Piepkorn joined the Coffee Club with Paul and Janae on WDAY Radio. He says the Performing Arts Center will create a significant economic impact for Fargo, but will come at the cost of demolishing the Civic Center and rebuilding the Arts Center in its place. Piepkorn also said he's looking forward to working with the newest commission member while working once again with re-elected Mayor Tim Mahoney.
We're going to have a new member, Denise Kolpak, and I think she'll be excellent. She's got a lot of experience in business, and she's been involved in economic development, so I think she'll be a great addition. And obviously Mayor Mahoney and I have worked together, and so we disagree on some things, but on most things we agree, and so I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Commissioner Piepkorn says he's looking forward to serving another 4-year term. Regarding the topic of what will be built at the old steel mill location in downtown Fargo, Piepkorn says the commission is working patiently behind the scenes to put that space to use. Well, if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell button below to make sure you catch every episode of the Nightly Review, the most straightforward source for news and information in the FM Metro. A relatively pleasant day for us to enjoy weather-wise today after rain and gusty winds over the past 24 hours. Meteorologist Justin Storm is in the Skywatch Weather Center to tell us what tomorrow will bring.
Thanks, Tom. As we head through the rest of this evening into tonight, just a slight chance for a couple isolated showers or a couple rumbles of thunder. Otherwise, skies will clear out through the rest of tonight with the wind lightening up around 5 to 15 out of the west. We'll drop down to lows in the upper 50s and lower 60s. A near perfect picture afternoon is expected for your Wednesday. Mostly sunny skies, high temperatures in the mid 80s with light wind out of the southwest around 5 to 15. As we head into Thursday, the humidity will start to increase, and so will the heat with high temperatures in the lower and mid 90s. Partly cloudy with a south wind around 10 to 20 miles per hour and a slight chance for a couple of thunderstorms as we head to the late afternoon and evening.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
And welcome back to the Nightly Review. Unfortunately, elder abuse is a serious and widespread problem. To address the issue, Cass and Clay counties are hosting an Elder Abuse Awareness Summit coming up Tuesday, June 28th. Here to talk about the topic, the various types of abuse, including scams, and how to recognize when abuse is happening, is Ann Hefkin. She's the Executive Director of Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota. And my understanding is that at least 1 in 10 seniors are victims of elder abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have as well heard that 1 in 10 number. I think the other thing that's important is that for every reported case of elder abuse, the common understanding is that there are multiple other cases that we don't know about. It is a very diverse area of crime, unfortunately, and abuse, and it is one that is often hidden. You mentioned scams, and absolutely those scams are just devastating to people financially and emotionally when stranger scams. The other thing to keep in mind is elder abuse includes financial and other abuse, physical, emotional, other abuse by family members and friends, people that people know. And I think that adding those all together, it's really an epidemic that we need to get a handle on.
And as you mentioned, so often elder abuse is not reported because victims don't want to come forward or talk about their experiences because maybe they're embarrassed or ashamed to talk about it.
Yeah, I do senior presentations at senior centers regularly. And whenever I start talking about frauds and scams, everyone says they have been approached for a stranger fraud and scam. And I always assume somebody has been scammed and doesn't admit it as well. But I think we all get those calls. But I think you're right. There is a shame and an embarrassment and a concern that if I fell victim to a scam, that I'm not capable of taking care of myself. And I might end up having to go into a home or leave my home, or I'm not capable anymore and they're embarrassed. And I always talk about the fact that fraudsters in particular are extremely savvy. And they are extremely smart and they're extremely good at what they do. They are trained and they practice and they convince people to send their money. They prey on any kind of emotion, right? They prey on both excitement. You've won the lottery. All you need to do is pay the taxes. Act now, act fast, right? And we know that that's how sales works, and some of that's okay, right? But act now, act fast. But they also prey on fear. The calls of you did your taxes incorrectly, you've committed a crime, this is the IRS, and if you pay now, though, nothing bad will happen. And by the way, don't tell anyone, because if you tell them, they're an accessory to the crime, right? So there's all of these really clever ways they do to trick people. And I think anytime, what I always tell people is, number one, don't be embarrassed. It doesn't mean you're not competent. It doesn't mean you're not smart. Extremely sophisticated scammers are doing this work. And if anyone asks you to act fast, pause. That should be a red flag. On those financial scams, it's always act now, act fast.
You advocate for abused seniors here in the Red River Valley. Can you give us an idea of the scope and magnitude of abuse locally and the types of cases that you're seeing?
Sure. I don't have the data. We work, the organization that is funding this or organizing this event is the Coordinated Community Response Team on Elder Abuse for Cass and Clay counties. We work cross borders because we know people live in Clay and Cass and move and all of those things, and we need to be communicating with one another. We have prosecutors and adult protection workers and senior providers and the Veterans Administration and lots of us working together on this. I don't have the exact stats, but I'll tell you what, the elder abuse cases that you hear about nationally, they happen locally. They are both the financial scams from the strangers, but they're also the physical abuse or the neglect cases. They are family members who maybe have a power of attorney over an elder and start using that elder's, and when I say elder, I mean, we also say adult in later life. Oftentimes we say 60 and older, which as I'm creeping up there, I think elderly implies someone who's 95 years old, right? It is adults in later life and all kinds of adults in later life. So the same cases that you hear about in the news nationally are happening locally.
I'd like to thank Ann Hefkin, the Executive Director of Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota, for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation. The conference is the 10th Annual Elder Abuse Awareness Day Summit and Training, and it's happening Tuesday, June 28th in Moorhead. You can find more information about the event by checking out the story online now at WDAYRadioNow.com. Well, that will do it for this Tuesday night, June 21st, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.